are back, and I am back at it doing, actually, I'm going to change my topic because technically I am doing some board game stuff, so, yeah. I was in Makers Crafters, but I'm going to keep myself in board games. I think that is more accurate to what I am depicting. So if I am still in Makers and Crafters, I'm sorry about that because I've had this issue on other streams before. Let me get myself all set up here. But you guys can see, I'm going to pop to the close-up cam. And you guys can see a little bit of what we're up against tonight. So I'm doing, I'm going to focus on some Kings of War Mantic Games models. We're going to start using the Wednesday slot for a little bit of randomness. I'm going to hopefully do a little bit of painting on these. I know some folks out there were asking to see, I have some of the finished painted models. I'm going to leave them up here, but I'll talk a little bit more about the project. Yeah, this is, let's see if I could do this. I'm going to go one down. Yeah. The problem with this particular game. All right, we're going to see if I can use the handle for this. We're going to check it out and see how it goes because the it is a little tougher. Actually, this dragon is pretty much done, this Drake. We're going to do a few more things to him, but I'm actually pretty stoically happy with how this is coming out. So there may not be too much on the docket. How's it going? It's going okay. So we're looking at, right now, some Mantic Game Kings of War models. And this is specifically models used for a board game that they make called League of Infamy. So it's a pretty cool game. It's actually a game where you assume or take on the role of villains storming a siege. So it's if you've ever played like a dungeon crawler board game, it's very much what this game is all about. And so you, the players, play villains, and then one of the players plays the keep master. And you are storming an elven keep. So the elves are obviously the good guys. And we're going to paint some of the villains tonight. And I'm going to just wrap up painting. Yeah, and what's cool is, so Mantic Games makes their own tabletop games. So if you are a Warhammer player, Mantic Games, they make their own futuristic setting. They make their own fantasy setting. Just trying to get into those crevices because I'm noticing I have a few areas that I did not paint, so there's a touching up. But yeah, Mantic Games, they make something called Kings of War. Kings of War is their fantasy setting, and this board game is actually set in that setting. So and all of the models I'm painting, if you were to play their fantasy Kings of War setting, you can use all of these models there. So even though they are for a self-contained board game, you are able to use them in the other game, which is typical because GW does the same thing. GW has a line of box games, so Games Workshop. And same thing. You can use their. So what I'm doing now is I'm getting a little bit more green because the only drawback to this to these models for this is that so I said before you can use them in the Kings of War setting, which you absolutely can. But what's kind of odd is that they send you these models for the board game already assembled. they're actually molded pieces. So it's kind of interesting because they are molded. So I don't have the benefit of assembling, and so obviously I think they were designed for you to paint them, but it is a slightly different thing because I have to get into crevices and into places with my paintbrush that are very, very tight and narrow. So I said it when I started painting these that, like, not that I was gonna go a little less than my like normal quality of paint, but I am not gonna obsess over some of the details. So I'm going for a little bit of a quicker paint because I will only be using these for the board game. I mean, I have my own faction armies for Kings of War, which we're going to do some stuff. And I want to thank Mantic Games for actually sending me the copy of the game to do that with. So they were awesome enough to send me a copy of the game to review. And we've reviewed it a few times, which has been awesome. And we played a couple of rounds. Actually, tomorrow we're probably going to play. Maybe we'll play another scenario of this. Okay, so those are broken. I thought there were skulls or stuff. Yeah, there we go. It's like a small little detail on the base. I just wanted to... Okay, I guess there are not... I thought there was like a bunch of skeletons on there. But there isn't. Alright, so now what I'm going to do with this... I'll show you guys why I'm doing what I'm doing. Just gonna... So I feel like you guys... If you were watching us last night, I'm going to pull off kind of a similar move to what I did on the other model, which is I'm just going in and I'm whitening one strip of the back, so the main fin of the dragon, and you guys will see why I'm doing this in a minute. We'll have to let it dry a little bit, but so I'm just re-whitening this out. Because it's funny, you might think, oh, if he just didn't paint that at all, it would have been so much easier. But it actually is faster to do what I'm doing now. And it's nice because then what I can do with it is I can control where I want the white to go a little bit better. Yeah, so they have printed bases on this game, so it looks like it's part of the keep floor. So they actually are molded to the base, and they're molded with the bases. There will be another indie project that'll be coming my way that I will be using custom bases for, so you guys will see me do that kind of stuff. And what you'll find, and Mantic is pretty good about this. They do make custom bases, or they make custom base elements. Actually, one of the things I like about Mantic games in general when they do like their Kings of War models, when they do their Kings of War models, they actually give you very bare bases so that you can go in and really add what you find interesting about your model. Alright, so we're gonna let this dry. And you guys, like I said, will see why I'm doing what I'm doing in a minute. And I'm just gonna... But I have to let it dry first. Yeah, I gotta just get in there. Ooh. And that's why I love the contrast paints, because you could do little cheats like this. because all you have to do is cover it in white, and then you're like ready to go. Whoa. Alright, so we're gonna leave our dragon there, because pretty much the dragon is like good to go once I get that done, because I got the black in the mouth. There was just a few little things, because I basically had painted them. When I do the blue down the spine, I might do a little bit more touching up, but you'll also see that the actual like mold of this is a little bit different too. But you guys can see these are actually some of the villains that you play in the game, and you can see how I painted these up, which I thought they came out pretty good for folks that might not be as familiar with Kings of War stuff. And that's the Abyssal Dwarf character. And again, not that I went like super duper fast on these, but their scale is a little bit different. Yeah, in the Kings of War lore, and then you guys have to love the goblins. This is a little goblin assassin character that's in the game. Yeah, the Abyssal Dwarves are literally Hell Dwarves. They're from Hell. And then you have a Demon Witch Hunter, which I have to do a little bit more red. So we'll do a little bit of touch-up on some of these, because I'm noticing some misses that I had. Ooh, there's some misses. Actually, I have that color out now. Let me do it. Yeah, I like goblins in Warcraft. Which, if you guys would like to see me play World of Warcraft, it's been eons since I played, but I was like intrigued by the new like, I just wanted to connect the dots on that, and then I'm gonna go through the red a little bit and get that. But this is one of the Demon Hunter characters. And not to say that these I don't want to say that Mantic Games models like are less or inferior, but they have a little bit of a different tone to them. They're a little bit more I have moved on to Final Fantasy. Okay. But yeah, so those are 4 of our villain characters, which actually 2 of the villain characters are expansion characters and this is League for Infamy, or League of Infamy. So then we have a Sorceress, an evil Sorceress, which I haven't painted up yet. You can see she has like bones in her clothing. And then we're gonna paint up this guy. This is the vampire warrior that's one of the bad guys that you can assume the role of in the keep. And we're gonna start painting him up. Now for these guys, there is a very specific frame of reference that we're gonna go with, because they actually have cards in the game. Yeah. So you guys can see there is specifically cards, because this is your stat card if you play this character. And so I have a very specific frame of reference, which I'm gonna put on my little stand that I have, so I know exactly like what his armor is supposed to look like, what we're doing. So this will be a little bit easier. And for the most part, I've stuck to what they have. I went off script with my dragons. I wanted to do my dragons my way, so I was gonna do that how I wanted. All right. Do I want to do this exactly? Okay, so there's like, all right, so we're doing gold, silver. Oh, he's got some. Okay, got it. Ooh, I gotta. I don't have an apothecary. All right, let's do Space Wolf Gray. I like Space Wolf Gray. do a nice new one. So we'll just pop some Space Wolf Gray. We'll make this a little bit darker. I like using Space Wolf Gray for like for anything that's like fur based on a character. I'm usually a fan. And this goes back to, I know we were talking about this last night. If you're not familiar with the contrast paints from GW, this is the kind of stuff that's like super awesome to do with these types of paints. And you can see already just how awesomely detailed that's getting. And that's just by going over it with one coat of paint, which is so cool. Now, a trick that I do use also is, you guys will notice I'm using a very fine detail brush. That is a tricky little, that's a little trick that I picked up. And what it does is it focuses the contrast paint. So you get a nice flow. And what it will avoid happening is which happens to a lot of people, is they get contrast paint that is very splotchy. And so this gives a nice even coat to it. He's a vampire, so vampire. If you're a vampire in my world, you're getting a red cape. I think his cape is actually purple, but I'm gonna make it red, and I'm gonna show you a really cool trick that I learned with the red, which I'm gonna make it look tethered and dirty, which is a cool trick. I'll show you that trick as well. And I love that everybody's here. And guys, please jump in, say stuff to me, ask me questions. I mean, I know my man's doing it. He was here last night with me, and we're gonna keep rocking and going. But don't hesitate to throw those questions out there. I love hearing what you guys are working on. What's on your painting table? What are some of the projects you got going on? I'm always looking to hear about that stuff. I always think it's cool. You bet we are. I was looking at something on Games Workshop. Okay. Nah, that's awesome. What were you looking at Games Workshop? What were you looking at? You know what you should look at? I know you said you're not an Age of Sigmar fantasy player, but you should look at the community page and look at, they announced dragons for Age of Sigmar, or Draconin, not Draconin. Yes, I think it is Draconin. They announced those dragons. You should totally go look at those dragons. They are insane. Now, if you are also, I know you're a GW player, but if you want to get, if you want a company that you could buy some amazing models. Actually, you know what? I can do something helpful, which I have not done in a while, which is I can put stuff in chat. I don't usually do that. I mean, I'm at game. Let's see. Oh, that's not it. I think it's Draconin. Hold on, guys. I should be able to find it relatively quickly. Oh, is this like the whole page? And it's like everything? Alright, then maybe I can't find this as quick as I would have liked. Unfortunately, I don't know how to spell it, which is why, and this is something I hate about GW's website. It will find, you guys will not be able to find it. All right, hold on. More tech? Yeah, alright. I won't. I will paint. Sorry. Poor people are watching me and they're like, who's not painting? Yeah, so try searching. I think it's Draconin. Basically, it's like I was saying last night with GW. They want it. They always put a spin on the name, where it's not, so like you would want to say dragon, but it's, they come up with their own like IP name for dragons so they can copyright it. It's like the stupidest thing ever, and so I never know how to describe their units, because I'm always like, how the hell do I say it? What I can tell you, is that they're part of the Stormcast Eternals army, so they're going to be added to the Stormcast Eternals. And they are dragons, because that's been basically the theme for a lot of like some of the Age of Sigmar release things. Is it's a lot of ancient monsters waking up. And like forming alliances with like different factions. Dreadlord, Black Dragon, sound familiar? Dreadlord, Black Dragon. Yes, the that does kind of sound familiar. Because the model kit could build two dragons. There's a bad one, there's like an evil one, and then there's a... Ooh, this is intriguing. I love that I'm getting this done. I think so. If it's a red dragon, then that's the bad one. The good one is like a bluish dragon. Sorry, guys. It's so freaking confusing. I don't understand. I'm sort of riffing on this model a little bit. So yeah, it's a 2. You would find a community article about it, because it's not they're not models they made ever. This is I mean, in the good old days of Warhammer Fantasy, they did make dragon models or wyverns, but they did not. But anyway, let's talk about Mantic Games, because that's who I'm painting. So I'm painting right now models from Mantic Games, who make such cool games as Kings of War. They also made Dead Zone, which is their futuristic. Found them. Nice. The models are insane. They're crazy. I just Googled it. Yeah, usually I say enough words that, like, the Google machine will pick it up. I think I'm going to do purple. I like doing... It's funny, even though this is not a GW vampire, I'm painting him very much like one. There's actually a rationale as to why I'm painting him like this. If I'm not gonna be, oh wait, is that armor? All right, well I could cover it up. Oh, that's an armor piece. Okay, so what? That doesn't make any sense. All right. Wait, does he have fabric under? I am so confused by this model. All right, I'm gonna paint out and block out what I think is happening. Now, also, the other thing to mention about the Mantic models is that Mantic is a little bit of an interesting company because some of their models, if you're going to be playing their games, you may get a variety of different model materials. So these guys are actually made out of resin versus plastic. Krazi, the Scarred, yep. Son of, there we go. Dracothian. Yeah. You got it. That's it. He found them. I want those models so bad. They're so cool. And this is, I'm painting Melantha Arveld. He is a vampire noble, and he is one of the characters you can assume in League of Infamy, where you play as a band of villains. They are sick. Yeah, the models are pretty awesome. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this model. All right, so what I'm doing now is a lot of this is just blocking out color right now. So I could kind of figure out where I want to go. Now, one thing that's annoying about these... So, like I said, these are resin models. So, they're not made in the same way that a plastic GW model is made. So, they have a very different consistency. And even when I was priming them, it was a very different process. Because if you have ever done resin models... they actually absorb paint if you don't treat them properly. So all I'm doing right now is I'm gonna probably do different things to this blade. I'm just trying to block out some basic colors on this model just to get my color scheme in, and also to just in some cases figure out just some of the there's overlapping detail in this model that I just want to make sure I understand and I get correct before I move on to the gold. So it's kind of weird, but he's got a cape or gown, but then he's also got armor, and yeah, because like I said, these models, I love the models for this game. It's very cool, and in general, I love Mantic's Kings of War models. By the way, they are perfect for folks that play GW. If you play Age of Sigmar, or you play even some of their other games, you can buy Mantic models and use them as subs or proxies for other models, and they are so much more affordable. That is the biggest thing about Mantic games. If you guys want to check them out, I would urge you to jump on their website. I want to thank them again for supplying me with this game, so the board game and all the minis, for me to review and do some content for you guys. The game is insanely fun, super fun. If you want a really good game for you and your friends, that gives you an aspect of really I would say, a dungeon crawling, really RPG style game. League of Infamy is a great game to do that with. It's super crazy how how awesome this game is, and just how much fun it was. Me and my buddies played it, and I played the Keep Master, so I played the role of the you know, the folks that own the castle that you're storming. So I was the elves trying to reinforce and, you know, basically continuously trying to stop the villains from looting and pillaging, and, you know, up to their no good tricks in my tower. And it's a crazy, it's just such a good board game. And what I love about it is there's multiple modes and ways to play it. So you could do a solo mode, you could do a group of people playing. So they actually created a solo mode, so you could like play the game with absolutely nobody around, and just like a solitaire mode, which is awesome. But what's crazy about the game is that you are actively, like, I love how, because typically when you get these dungeon crawler games or board games, they say like, they tell you it's a multiplayer game and maybe only like 2 or 3 players can play, and then they always like, sort of cop out and say, oh well, one player, like one person can control the bad guys. And what that looks like in most games that are this style is they'll have some sort of like random generated way that the bad guys move, or like all you're doing is essentially moving pieces around. But in this game, you're actually spending economy, you're fortifying, you're moving all your pieces, you have a turn, you have reaction cards, you can actually, so like you have a hand and a deck that you can like throw things to foil them and react to them on their turn, on your turn. It's like super duper awesome. So there's just a lot going on. So I really love it from a strategy standpoint. I think they did an amazing job with it. So I'm eager to get everything in this game painted up, so we can really get delving in there. And I also wanted to take a poll for the audience and folks that are watching me tonight. Would you guys want to see me do some gaming stuff tonight? I was curious if you guys would like to see some gaming content on the channel. I know I downloaded Phasmorda, which, all right, so maybe we'll do a little bit of painting, and then I'll retreat to some gaming stuff. But because I do have, I do in fact have Phasmorda on my PC, and if there are some, so I'm trying, what I'm doing now is I'm actually taking a little bit of liberties with this model. So whoever sculpted this, not that they did a terrible job, but they definitely did not, they did not sculpt out the, they didn't fully sculpt out the like poofy stuff that's all there. So yeah, maybe we'll do a little bit of gaming stuff. So say you, does anyone else second or third that motion? I don't know. Phasmorda is going to be hard because my blood pressure may raise to a level that I don't know if I could handle right now. So I might, but I do have Deathloop, and I do have a few other like PS5 games that I could definitely jump in and do a little bit of playing of. So this is what is this called? This is Balsami Gold is what this is called. Now what you're noticing I'm doing with this is I have a tendency to do this, but I water down the gold, so it's a little bit, I add a lot of water. So it has that same like contrast paint consistency. Because what I find works really well, I'm going to switch to my smaller brush, is it'll give this like worn bronze look. So, and this is Bethel Sar Gold, which usually you use this if you are a demon player, specifically chaos player in 40k. This gold is your friend because you use this on a lot of the chaos units and demons. It's a very popular color for that. But I like using it on fantasy models because what it gives you is an older timey gold. So you instantly get a gold that it looks like it's a little bit more worn. So that's cool because your character emerges as you paint as like an ancient character, or like has passed down armor from its different descendants. And for a vampire, this is very, very good. Very, very good indeed. And I have to do some. You guys notice I'm like staying away from those edges because I'm going to do those in silver. The good thing about the gold, though, is that if I mess up, it'll just stack on top. So, like, if I'm putting in that silver, the silver will just go right on top of the gold. I don't have to really worry about it. Because this is the traditional, and the gold I'm using right now is a base gold. So, same thing with the lead belcher silver that I normally use. It, too, is a base. So, it's going to just be really thick and nice and just go over whatever I am painting with. Yes, this stuff, this is my, like, bread and butter. I love painting, like, undead armor. Because I play a lot of undead. I play a lot of undead in Age of Sigmar. I tend to gravitate towards those characters in a lot of the fantasy games I play because I just like... if you guys probably didn't notice, my name, my gamer tag is Vamp Mario. I like vampires. That's part of why I picked that gamer tag. So I'm a big vampire fan. This is like a rip-off of the Avengers theme from the last movie. See, and then I love it because if you mess up, you could just go right back over it. And in fact, I'm just going to go right in there. Yeah, so far, I'm liking where we're going with this. And I'm going to put blood on his blade. I'm going to do a bunch of other cool stuff once I get more of this blocked out. And if you guys are new to the channel and you like what you see and you want to see more and see us do more gaming reviews and tabletop stuff, please, please, please consider following. Consider checking out the links below and my Patreon and my website. All of that support helps us get bigger and bigger and better and in more people's, in more people's homes and computers and such, so that we can be, I could get this channel to where I want it to be, where we're doing more and more content for you guys, and this can become a little bit more of a permanent gig for yours truly, and I could be doing this on a permanent basis for you all, and and get my studio and all my equipment exactly where I want to be, and be sent things to review by the masses and companies out there, which some companies do send me stuff, which Mantic Games, again, has been super kind and nice to me. They've sent me not only this, but things for Kings of War, and we're going to be reviewing and painting all that stuff. This is just the beginning. We're gonna be doing tons of stuff. So my goal is to paint for you guys 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Although Wednesday may be a wild card. I may do painting, I may do gaming. I might use it as like which is why you want to sign up for the notifications. So you know when I'm live. So it is not a mystery to you all. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to find the edges of stuff. This will help now that I've painted a little bit more of this. And you guys can see how this is coming together. Yeah. Okay, no. So this doesn't have. So this could be all gold. This doesn't have any of the. So I'm being careful for no reason. I could just go to town on the gold on this one. And you can see just like why I like this gold, because it already is giving that like ancient warrior look, like as an immortal vampire, you figure he's probably had this armor and for a long time, and so this gives it that more ancient, worn look. So it's not like brand new shiny armor, which I love. Yeah, this particular model is not. It's not the most complicated. Like a lot of these models for this particular board game, they're not super complicated to paint, and you probably have all noticed that the scaling for these models is a little bit smaller. So it's they're a lot smaller than the GW standard, or even the Marvel Crisis Protocol standard that you guys might have seen on some of the other painting videos. Which in general, Marvel Crisis Protocol, the scale for it is bigger. Which is one of the reasons I really love painting the models for it, because it's so they're so nice, because they're a little bit bigger, so when you go to get the details, you're not like hitting really teeny tiny details. So for someone who might be not as comfortable with painting yet, they're good models for that, because You don't feel like you're getting too crazy right away. Yeah, this is where it always gets a little dicey. You got to be careful with your lines. Because one of the things that's true about Mantic games, and I've said this on other streams that we've done with their products and stuff, is that they're an interesting company because they, for folks that don't know Mantic games, they were a company of folks. So they were. I think I almost just burned my eyebrow off. They were a group of guys who they used to work. They actually was founded by people that used to work at Games Workshop. And then they kind of went and formed their own company. And what's kind of funny about it is they went and formed their own company just around the time that GW discontinued one of their biggest running fantasy games, which was Warhammer Fantasy. So that was their original. It was their original fantasy realm. It's where all of their fantasy war games were. And I've said it on this channel a couple of times, but if you are a veteran GW player, then you would know, as I do, the whole idea that the 40K universe in the original game was the future. It was Games Workshop's original premise for 40K was that it was fantasy. It was the characters in fantasy, and it was being set in the future. So and so hence why when you play 40K, you may sit there from time to time, or you may even go look at different models and factions and go, hey, wait a minute, like, it's kind of weird, but this faction, they sort of look like elves. This faction, they sort of look like this. Well, that's because that's how it was set up to be. Hence why, if you ever were a 40K player and you might have said to yourself, why are orcs in space? Why are there orc, which are clearly fantasy characters, why are they in space? And the answer to your quandary would be because it's supposed to be the orcs you played in fantasy in the future. So it was a very interesting premise. Again, when they originally came up with the concept of the world. So that was the idea. That was the concept, was that these guys were in fact the future versions of so what you guys are seeing, this is, I like to call what I'm doing now, this is like free form. So sometimes, and this happens, I mean, it can occasionally happen with a GW model. It doesn't always happen with a GW model. But when I'm doing sometimes the indie models, their scopes are a little bit different. So, not that it's bad, or not that the person who made it is like terrible at their job or something like that, but sometimes I have to do a little bit of like free form editing where I have to be like, okay, you know, like, all right, well, this line runs into this line, and this line runs into that line. So I have to sort of like freeform it and be like, does that logically make sense? Because maybe there's a mold deformity or something in the model. And you kind of see what I had to do there. I had to sort of guess where that armor was supposed to go. And then I'm going to come back in with that red just to tidy up the cape. And then I started like 2 different stories and never finished them. But so one thing I said early on is that I'm painting this particular character. Ooh, geez, I already messed up. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in, close the gap there. Right. So this is where I sort of look at it and go. Right. So now I've created this line. So now anything that's not that red line that I made, that nice solid red line, I'm going to move over. But what I was saying was part of why I'm being very deliberate on how I'm painting this particular model is that I want to use him, of course, in the game as a playable character in the board game League of Infamy, which is set in the Kings of War lore, which is an amazing dungeon crawler board game where you get to assume the role of villains storming an elven keep, which are the good guys. But I also want to use him in Blood Bowl as one of my star players. I want to use him to upgrade my vampire star player for my undead team. I didn't go get another one of these paints. Let's see if I can make this work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'm going to try. Yeah, so I want to... Oh, there's like... He's got... there's like little baddie things. Okay. All right. Interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, let's just coat. I'm just going to coat all of this in this apothecary white. And what that's going to do is it's going to give like that, so what I'm working against my paint a little bit. All right, let's do this. There we go. I'm going to go back over his hair with a different color, but what I'm doing now is I'm just using the apothecary to put some texture and some tone into it so that I can then go back. I'm probably going to put like maybe I might put like a yeah, there we go. Just put all that in there so that the hair gets like a little bit darker. Because I'm using it just to give like pale skin tone also. So you'll see, it'll just base it, and then I can go in there and start putting other colors onto it. Hopefully you guys are liking the stream. I don't know. Maybe I'll do an hour. And then I could get... Maybe I could even get some of this. Because I have to prime the rest of the box. I didn't do that yet. There's a bunch of generic units in there. Let's see, what do you guys think? I think it looks pretty dope. I may have to go in and fix those eyes at some point, but for right now, they look pretty good. What I really should be doing is using... I should have used my magnifiers for that, because I'm being a little reckless. Because like I said, with these, they're really game pieces more than they're going to be other stuff. Him, I'm working on a little bit more. Nah, that was bad. What I just did. Shoot. Alright, I'm gonna have to go in. I'll have to go in with white and fix that because that looks derpy. I don't like how that looks. Now, if you look, that looks... And again, this might be another one of those aspects where I'm going to have to edit and, like, wait until that dries and then go in and try to find... like, the teeth in there, because as of right now, I can't see any of the teeth. Let me just try it. Sorry, guys. I know I'm not... Sorry, I know I'm not doing it on camera. It's easier for me to see the particular detail by actually looking at it. Alright, so you guys will see what I did. So, essentially what I did was, you'll see it, the eyes look a little bit more, they look a little bit more natural now, because he just has red pupils versus, like, the red bleeding. This is one of those issues with the contrast paints. They're great paints, but if you use them for eyes and stuff, sometimes they'll seep into the crevices of the eye, because that's what it's supposed to do. It's very thin paint. So it'll actually seep in there, and then you'll get, like, derpy looking eyes. So I just went in and, like, changed them a little bit. Like I said, because this is something... I'm actually going to do this now. Because these are... I'm going to put a little bit... So this is going against what... This is going against what is on the card. He doesn't have... He has very, very white hair, but my issue with him having white hair is it makes it harder for me to really distinguish his face from his hair. So I would rather his hair have a little bit of tone to it. But I'll use this skeleton horde color because it'll be pale. So it won't be like very, very, you know. And like I said, I plan on using this model in other places, so like this is actually a little bit more appropriate for that that other place I'm planning on using the model, so yeah, so now so it gives it a little bit more contrast. Skeleton Horde I use a lot. I mean, obviously, the name implies what you should be using it for, which is if you're painting skeletons. But I use it for any bone detail, anything like that. Alright, so the key I'm noticing is I gotta start later. I have to start earlier. So you guys have really made me understand loud and clear that my late painting videos are not acceptable. I have to get better at starting my videos earlier, because you guys are all jumping in to see me, which is awesome. So I'm loving it. Now, I want a verdict vote for the group here. If I were to take a very brief commercial break and were to come back doing some gaming stuff, so I was playing some maybe PS5 games, or I apologize, I wouldn't be able to do Phasmorda now. It's way too late. I won't be able to sleep. I'll be freaked out all night, because that game is freaky as frig. I probably wouldn't survive playing that. But I'd like to hear a verdict from the group. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the idea of me popping on and playing some Phasmorda. No, sorry, not Phasmorda. Can't play Phasmorda. I'll be up indefinitely for the rest of the night, because it will freak me out. Oh, that's supposed to go like that. I'm like switching all my paints around. I could do something calm and chill. I could also do some Switch games. I could just play my Switch. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna definitely hit this dragon over. We're gonna come back to our dragon friend in a minute. Yeah, see, this is a great example of what I was talking about earlier. With yeah, see, they're like, so I love independent model companies, but there is literally no there was no printed model. I don't know if you noticed that there was no prints or grooves in that side of the model. So you know, there's little details that I'm, you know, now I'm forced to kind of make up, which is fine. So I'm just trying to find the details there, but there are not many details on that model, so I'm gonna have to wait until that black dries. To see what I could do from that standpoint. And then I'll have to work the gold into that. And as always, if you guys have questions or comments, you know, please don't hesitate to post those up in the chat. I love helping people with their projects and model painting. I know last night we talked a lot about if you were like getting started in GW, what are some, you know, what are some of the ways to do that? And we talked about it from, you know, hobby perspective. So like the crafting part of painting, supplies. Then we talked about armies and like what army would you recommend? What army's fun to play? Okay, so there's... Alright, so I can echo the red under there, which I probably will do that. You know, and this is always the fun. Sometimes this is both the fun part, and it's also, it can lead you to a frustrating part, because, you know, going back to what I said, depending on the company and how they constructed their models, I'm doing terrible as keeping this in frame, guys. I'm sorry. That can make your life either really easy or really hard. So like right now, pretty easy. I haven't run into too many problems with this model. You know, so far so good. Right, and then here's where the rubber meets the road. So, like, I think he had a cape under the armor, but it was so hard to see it in the model that... So, like, I think what I painted in gold is really just the design on the cape. So I'll probably go over that with another color. Because I think I just messed that up, but that's okay. But that's like, you know, so that's what I mean by sometimes you have to sort of figure out in so many ways, you know, what am I painting? What I'm going to do here is what I'm going to do. For the bottom, I'm not putting the silver in. I'm just going to paint the bottom as if it's all gold. Maybe I'll do some silver details on certain things. But I'm just going to paint the whole thing as if it's gold. We're just going to put all the gold plating. There's some hardware that I'll do in silver. But, we're just going to pretend that all of it's gold. Because it's too hard to distinguish the model lines, and then what I can do is I'll make his boots, I'll make the beginning of his undertone, I'll make that black so it has some breakup. But then it makes my life so much easier. Because like I was saying, I want to use it in a different spot, but I'm not going to... Because I'm going to have to do silver on top of gold and do some silver trim. And there's going to be a lot. So like this model, I mean, we've only been working on him for an hour or 12 minutes. And we got a good chunk of the way there. I mean, typically a model like this, now that I've been... Yeah, see, now this foot is like 100 times different than the other foot. This is what I mean. So that's why I'm just going to go for the easy route. Sorry, guys. I know my hand is blocking it. But what I'm trying to do is fine. Now that looks like, yeah, that's going to be armor. That's going to be armor. Because we have a lot of like straps and so there's a lot. I mean, for a fairly small scale model, there's a lot of detail packed in this. I mean, and that was true of all of them. Like they had a really nice detail to them. All right, well we're getting there, guys. I'm gonna jump back over to my dragon. Because I want to do that do a little bit more touching up on him, and then I'm gonna let the vampire dry a little bit, but I do think I may just do a little bit more on the dragon and then call it quits for tonight for the model stuff, only because I mean I want to do another 2-hour stream for you guys, but if you want me to play any video games or do that stuff, I'd have to jump out now. So now I'm going to go back over that strip. So what, kind of give him a stripe. So you guys are starting to see it emerge in there. And what I love about doing this is it's really cool because even if I overlap on top of that blue that's already there, that bluish green or that teal, it's going to just create a really cool effect. Because I wanted to give my Wyvern my adult dragon. Not adult dragon, adolescent dragon, excuse me, because that's what this is referred to. I wanted to give him a little bit of an interesting feature throughout him. And I don't know, I think this came out pretty cool. I like, in some cases, I like how guttural it feels. Not that it feels like uneven or like I didn't paint him well, but it has like a little bit more of a rougher feel to it, and I kind of like that. You guys have been awfully quiet out there in TV land. I don't know. Is that your way of telling me that you don't approve? And you can see I'm starting to bring that. I love the blue. I think the blue looks so cool. Okay. Yeah, my arm is starting to hurt, so I may have to take just a break on that notion alone. Because I'm starting to cramp up. which is why if you guys want to take a break and talk a little bit. I'm going to stop being impatient. I'm going to wait until that dries because I'm going to make a mess of things if I don't. I'm being like super impatient. I don't know why I'm being super impatient, but... I love that. I gotta just hit the top of that. I'm gonna go back in there with some purple. I'll do that right now, just to make the inside of the mouth a little darker. Get that on camera so you guys can see. And then I'm going to put this, I'm going to use a stain on the teeth so that it'll go into those cracks a little bit more to try to define the teeth a little bit better. Sorry guys, I'm trying. I keep... Now, some of the issue that I'm having with this dragon... Yeah, I'm just putting a little bit of stain in there. Because what that stain will do, if you notice, it'll give like a nice shadow to it. So it'll bring, and this is, you know, we were talking about this last night. This is your old, that old stain that GW made. And I'm doing exactly what I would do if I was doing like more traditional GW painting right now. Now, some of what's also hurting me with this model is you're seeing some of that white still. So I got to do some touch-ups on that face so that we make a little bit more drama. But right now, it's looking real good. Like, I think that looks pretty awesome. I'm happy with it. He looks mean. He looks like a pretty tough customer coming to get you. So now what I'm doing, which I do this sometimes, I'm using the stain to almost, I'm using it to darken a little bit some of the toenails. And I may put the stain on the actual dragon himself. But right now, ooh. Okay, I need to paint that. The undercarriage of the dragon, I didn't like paint that much. Like the tail, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so let's get a little bit of stain on this. And this stain will help. The stain is good even with the contrast paint because it'll cover up some of your blemishes. It'll cover up like things that you didn't do well. If there are things you didn't do well. But for the undercarriage, I love putting the stain on because what it'll do is it'll darken his belly and it'll make him look more interesting. You guys will see in a minute. So I'm using it to both like kind of save and salvage stuff I didn't paint, but then I'm also using it as a darkening agent so that that undercarriage all gets darker. Now I'm just letting it kind of hit. So that the horns get a little bit darker. And what hopefully will happen when I do this is some of the natural texture will come back. So you can see already, look at how much different those horns look. So I'm going to do that for all of the bone pieces on the face. So we get the face looking a little bit more pronounced. And again, this is just putting that nice wash on there to darken it. So my dragon gets a little meaner and a little bit more stern. Yeah, see now those front face things look a little bit more interesting. The horns look a little bit more interesting. Yeah, now see how he's starting to turn a little bit. That's beautiful. Man, it's looking good. I knew the dragon had a little bit more going on, or I was gonna have to do a couple more sessions with him because he's got a very unique way about him. Yeah, I think we're gonna pull the plug in a minute. But we did some work on 2 of the models, and we got to learn a little bit about this game. Whoa, let's just pop. Yeah, let's pop that. Oh, did I not? Oh, okay. I didn't paint a lot of this. That's probably why a lot of this is not clicking. All right. Maybe I should just focus on the dragon tonight because apparently the dragon. I spent all that time painting the vampire. The dragon needs some help. I thought I had done more on the dragon. I guess I didn't. I thought I had like finished a lot more. There's a lot more blemishes and stuff I gotta take up before I like give the dragon a full. I mean, it's looking good, but now, some of this also was just... I could tell why some of this happened. Because some of this was... when I was painting it originally, I was fighting the paint a little bit. I was having... I don't remember what the particular issue that day was, but... I think also I was trying, in a stupid way, to paint this, like, really, really fast. Because we were trying to get it up and running, which was a dumb thing because we were never going to fight this monster in like the first adventure. You don't fight in the pre-made scenarios. You don't get to do any kind of encounter with a dragon like this until later. That's like later on because in the scenarios, they're like buildable scenarios. That, you know, the idea is that you're progressing through this keep you know, sneaking in and then finding your way to all these like riches and loot. So you don't start to get up to the elder dragons until later. Now also it's worth mentioning, because now we're doing, you know, we're jumping into some of the other projects. Using contrast paint on all this stuff, it comes with a risk, because obviously this was made by a different company, so they might not have like really explored their models working with contrast paint. So you may put stuff like that on there and then realize, well, it kind of really doesn't work, because it's not made for those types of models. So the technique that the paint's trying to do may or may not be what you have. And then I had some issues priming some of these, so that's like another piece. But already that dragon looks so much better. The blue stripe I am in love with. I love the way that blue stripe looks. Cool. Well, I think we're gonna call it quits for right now, because I'm getting to sort of the end. I want to give this guy his firm to do. This is the boss battle. This is the Lord of the Keep on an adult Wyvern. I want to really take time and paint this out, and obviously I want to get this all settled, so once I have the adolescence paint scheme done, I can give you I can show what a more adult version of it looks like. But so far I'm in love with it. I love this game. This game was amazing. All right, cool. None of my other models came, so I couldn't really show off a bunch of other stuff today. My hope is next week we'll be able to go through that. But I think I'm going to leave this video here. I want to try to stream for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't want to go past that, so they're like digestible. You can sit and watch them after the fact as well. Please, if you like everything that you saw, if you thought the models that were painted today were awesome, and you want to see me paint more, and you want to learn more about hobbying and the different companies that I work with and that I'm reviewing, and you want to see eventually if all of our painting ever gets to a point where I can play, which we still play with unpainted stuff, but I like getting everything painted. We're going to start doing more battle reports, more game playthroughs, everything. I'm in the process of hiring some people to help me paint and get scenery together, so I'm in the process of getting a lot of stuff done. So please consider following the channel, consider signing up for notifications. I want to say again a thank you to Mantic Games for sponsoring this video. Well, not sponsoring, don't want to say that, for giving us the set to review and to play with and to paint. They have given me so many great things for my channel and given us content. We're going to start doing battle reps and battle reports with their stuff. I have to get my Forces of Nature army painted. I got to order a couple more things from them, so we're going to get some really cool stuff coming down the pike. You got to bear with me. The only way you're going to know about it is if you sign up for those notifications. And if you want to check out my website and my Patreon, becoming a member on my Patreon is a great way to support us monetarily. There's also a tip/donation button. If you can do those things, it's going to allow me to get more equipment, more things, be able to do this on a more full-time basis for you all. Get into merchandise. I want to get t-shirts, pins, other stuff available through my Patreon as well. But I can't do any of that without support from you guys. But I get it. Monetary support may be hard right now. So if that is hard for you, share this with other people you know. Tell people about us. Tell people about my art and my commission and my painting. It really, really helps. And of course, if you are a hobby tabletop gamer and want to get commissions or models painted, my website's got all the information and ways to contact me and to get those going. So supporting those services is also a way to, in turn, support the channel. All right. Well, thank you, guys. I'll see you at the next video. And that will be actually tomorrow, where I think we're going to do Scenario 2 of League of Infamy, which now I have a lot more room. It's easier for me to record. So we should be in super duper shape. All right. Well, take care, everybody. See you in the next video. And if you want to see me play video games later tonight, I need to take just a small commercial break, and I will come on back. Probably going to play some PS5 stuff. So stay tuned and message me if you want that to happen. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.